this has been extremely painful and ridiculous because I got a bunch of foreigners that don't understand the Second Amendment trying to tell me about use of force in the United States from a law enforcement perspective. I don't want to sound like an asshole or appeal to authority, but quite frankly, all of you are speaking from an extremely limited purview, and none of you know what the fuck you're talking about. So this has been extremely painful for me to sit here and explain this to you guys like children, and you guys still don't understand this because this is a concept that none of you can grasp.
Can I ask you a follow-up question on that, Myron?
Yeah.
So if America goes in with the goal of toppling the regime or completely destroying the ballistic missile program and the nuclear program, and they don't achieve any of those goals, because, maybe as soon as the war starts up, Iran starts sending off hypersonic missiles at and U.S. military bases in the region, and we get American soldiers dying. And they feel like the only way they can achieve some of their goals is by putting American boots on the ground. Do you think America pulls back or doubles down and sends in more people?
Boots on the ground would be political suicide for Trump, to be honest with you. The boots on the ground would be absolute political suicide if he did that. I mean, look, we're probably going to lose the midterms anyway. But that would, that would be political suicide. That wouldn't just kill Trump's image, alongside all the Epstein stuff. That would hurt J.D. Vance too in his, run in 2028 if he tried to. So I think that would be a huge, huge blunder to try to put boots on the ground. And here's the other thing too, unpopular opinion here, we're going to get up. Like, we could potentially win that conflict, but guys, keep in mind, special forces, tier 1 operators were struggling to fight against the Taliban in Afghanistan. We're talking about guys using World War II weaponry, right? Able to hold back some of the top soldiers in the world, only based on, the environment. These mountainous environments are extremely unforgiving as far as for invading countries, right? We saw this with the Mujahideen and the Russians in the 1980s. Osama bin Laden was able to beat and push the Soviets back using a bunch of ragtag militia guys because the environment was so unforgiving for the Russians. And as an invading country, you face a significantly uphill battle, a significantly larger uphill battle when you invade. Even if you have a superior military, superior technology, etc., the invading country always has a huge deficit to catch up. So even with our military might, even with our skilled soldiers, we're talking tier 1, tier 2 operators, they're going to struggle, dude. They struggled against the Taliban. They're going to do even worse against the IRGC. So I think boots on the ground not just is political suicide for the Trump administration, it's also going to get our boys and girls killed, absolutely. And I don't think that's the move if we struggle against the Taliban.
What if one of the goals is actually to implement that surveillance state, and by getting people angry and out protesting and acting a fool gives them a reason to implement that? Then you kind of kill two birds with one stone if the goal is regime change and surveillance state in America, and you don't care about the US dollar because you're planning on inflating the debt away anyway.
I'm a little confused by your question. Are you saying that like they would send boots on the ground purposely so they could get, I guess, fight an uphill battle, take some casualties, and use that to justify putting more boots on the ground? Is that what you're asking?
No. So if you just pointed out how it would be political suicide here in America and deeply unpopular, and it would get both the left and the right out into the streets because people would be angry. If you look at, all the donations that Trump has taken from big tech and the surveillance state, they do need to manufacture consent, to implement some of the things they've been working towards with Palantir and the other big tech companies. So hypothetically speaking, if they did put boots on the ground and people started acting up and protesting hard and, getting crazy in the protests, would that not justify the technology that Palantir is trying to implement along with all the other, surveillance state contracts that have been going out?
I think they're already implementing it right now. And I think Minneapolis is probably going to be the grounds for this. We know that what ICE is doing in Border Patrol is anyone that's like heckling them or following them, they're taking pictures of them and they're putting them into a database. I am 99% sure that database is probably going to be some type of Palantir-esque type software that they're going to utilize to keep a database of, all these progressive agitators and these ICE raids. So they're already collecting it right now.
Touche. I mean, this would, if it does anger people on the right, it could actually, allow people to collect that info on both sides. But, I don't think we're quite at the point where they're justified in rolling out everything they want to yet. But you're right. They have already started down that path. So
yeah, they're just doing it surreptitiously now, but they're absolutely using that. And I know for a fact, because I used to work for HSI, I used to work for ICE. All the government agencies have some version of Palantir. So I would not be surprised whatsoever, and it's a very powerful software. I would not be surprised if they're not using it right now to identify all these agitators, put them all in a database, and then, at some point, who knows, they might do a huge roundup, right, and pick all these people up down the road, do a massive indictment, and grab all these people for impeding official duties. Because I think at this point, Minneapolis finally started using state and locals to augment what the feds have going on. But I think at this point, they're starting to realize, like, look, these blue cities will leave us out to dry if push comes to shove. They're more scared of their potential voter base getting off than law and order. So I would not be surprised if some indictment comes down the road and arrest a massive amount of these people. We know the signal chats got leaked. We know that they're using this database to identify people. So I would not be surprised if there was a massive indictment that arrested a bunch of people all across Minneapolis.
Sounds like one of those FEMA camp conspiracies you're talking about right there, man.
Yeah, but I mean, look, when it comes to that, I think these agitators are in the wrong when it comes to this immigration stuff, because a lot of these guys aren't there to actually protest. They're there to agitate. They're there to start problems. They're there to impede law enforcement officials. And I know some people here might not agree with me or not like me saying this. But look, dude, if you're going to go ahead and put your hands on a federal agent or get in the way of them doing immigration enforcement, you're committing a felony. And people need to remember that, illegal aliens being in the United States is a crime. We've kind of blunted our senses to the concept of illegal aliens for so long because so many politicians didn't want to deal with this catch-22 hot potato of enforcing immigration. But, don't forget that what ICE is doing is absolutely lawful, and we voted for this in America, right? Trump got elected off of, foreign policy, no new wars, mass deportations, closing the border down, and he's done some of that. He actually, I got to give him credit where it's due. I praise him when needed, but I also criticize him when needed. When it comes to closing down the border, he did a fantastic job. The border is closed. With all those extra assets in Border Patrol, he moved those guys into interior cities so that they can actually properly conduct interior immigration enforcement, which is something that is unprecedented, that most other presidents have never done. And they're doing that now. And obviously they're getting quite a bit of backlash, and there's going to be some problems. But, people need to understand that you can't come to the country illegally, stay here, and think that you're just going to stay. And we've avoided this topic for so long that these progressives actually think they're in the right by opposing and or impeding federal law enforcement as they do their job. So, and Alex Pretti, Renee Good, however you might feel about their shootings, you might dislike it from a moral perspective. You might not agree. It might have you outraged. That's fine. But what we need to understand here, outside of how you feel, we got to go off what's real. Just because it's awful doesn't mean it was not lawful. And both shootings are absolutely lawful. Do not impede federal agents as they're, conducting operations, lawful operations, and you're not going to get shot. That's the reality, dude. And people don't like that, but that's the truth. Both shootings are lawful.
Well, I don't know if you heard about Trump's new directive, but he did actually just say, I believe it was earlier today or the day before, that ICE officials are no longer allowed to arrest American citizens and mess with American citizens. And they have actually been doing that. They've been attacking people, just for filming them. And that's kind of what happened with the Alex Pretti situation. So when you say Alex Pretti was blocking them, that isn't really what the video shows. They just got upset because he was videotaping them, and then they assaulted him. And I do understand that there was that other video that came out, of him a few days ago. And there's a good chance that he probably should have, been in jail or at least been arrested for what he was doing. But again, that's not ICE's job. ICE does not do arrests of citizens. They're there to carry out deportations. So they're kind of going beyond their mandate.
That's 100% incorrect. You're wrong there. That's not true whatsoever. If American citizens impede official duties, they absolutely can get arrested for 18 U.S.C. 111. That is a charge that anyone can get. The only reason ICE has been dealing with and or arresting or detaining U.S. citizens is because U.S. citizens put themselves in between ICE and the subjects that they are trying to arrest. That is why. And that's why some of these people get detained, get arrested, etc. As far as Alex Pretti goes, the video shows it clear as day. A Border Patrol agent is in the middle of an encounter with a pushes her. Alex Pretti walks up to him and puts his hand on the agent. And that's when the agent pepper sprays him and a struggle ensues. I don't know why you're putting a thumbs down. This is exactly what's on the video. You know, so that obviously led to an interaction where Alex Pretti was wrestled down to the ground. Somebody yelled gun. They disarmed him. The gun went off as they were disarming him. At the time, the agents did not know that he had been disarmed. They did not know that the gunshot that fired was an accidental discharge, and they presumed that it might have come from the subject, and that's when they fired. And you know, you guys can put thumbs down all you guys want. But the reality is that law enforcement is not judged on 2020 hindsight like you guys are trying to do right now. Law enforcement and use of force in general is judged from was it reasonable based on their perception at the time the shots were fired. I cannot stress this enough. And this is why you progressives tend to be, because you guys go off of how you feel versus what's real. What does the law say? The law says if the use of force was reasonable based on the facts and circumstances known to the individual that exercised that force, then the shooting is clear. And in this case, you got an agitator, you got a guy that came up and touched the agent first. He assaulted the agent first. He committed a felony. They tried to detain him. He resisted. He got wrestled down to the ground. He had a gun. Like, this is just, it is what it is. Like, look, we can say that something sucks and it's bad, but it's still lawful. And Alex Pretti should have been more responsible and a better judge of how to behave as a concealed carry owner. He should know better. But real quick, I do want to say, because it seems like Jay Scott and Dr. Atausa Madavi keep putting thumbs down when I'm saying facts. What is wrong with my assessment of Alex Pretti? Because I've noticed that you progressives can never actually debate me on the facts. You guys always use feelings. How am I wrong?
Why you suggest that we're progressives? How do you how would you say that? Why would you say I'm a progressive? I'm an independent. I'm not a progressive, but I have seen the video footage of what you're describing. And the way you're describing it is as if you saw someone's, the police camera. They never released it. There is a reason why they didn't release it. I watched the video that was taken by a witness at the scene. And after he was disarmed, they shot him 3 times in his back.
Let's back up. Let's back up.
I mean, you're now interrupting me. I never interrupted you except once. But I just think that, so what is your take on January 6th? And what is your take on January 6th? The fact that a lot of those guys were concealed carrying and they ran into the house, whatever, and they destroyed property. I know I'm not saying I'm for it or against it, but to me, it's such a hypocrisy that a lot of the Republicans that were so hung about, January 6th was peaceful. How come they were treated that way? And they were sentenced to 20 years imprisonment. They were legally carrying a weapon, just like this guy was, right? And, I guess a couple of people died during January 6th, etc. But it's such a hypocrisy that when the Republicans do it, it's fine. But when the progressives or the Democrats do it on the other side and they get shot dead, it's just so legal. Like, it's totally legal, and you can get shot to death by ICE or police if you interfere. No, the police are trained to de-escalate, and they haven't done anything to de-escalate. And that was shot in her head, like execution style. And the police are trained not to jump in front of a car that is, let's say, supposedly trying to hurt them. But that dude, that ICE person, that obviously is not trained well, obviously is panicking, actually jumps in front of a car that is trying to soar away and go and run or whatever. All
right, you brought up multiple instances here. Can we focus on one real quick? You brought up January 6th. You brought up Renee Good. Let's stick to Pretti, and if you want to address the other ones, we can. But let's go off of Alex Pretti real fast. Okay, I noticed you started the story at the part where they disarmed him, but we need to back up if we're going to actually go ahead and properly assess this, because the totality of the circumstances absolutely matter. Okay, we can't just start the story off when he's disarmed. What led to him being disarmed? Well, he put his hands on a federal agent as a federal agent was dealing with another suspect. That is extremely... What?
He raised his hand to stop that ICE agent.
Hold on. Stop. What did he do? What did he do?
They were trying to take that... I don't know what that had done, but he would...
Okay, that's irrelevant. So he pushes the... What did Alex Pretti do after he pushed that... What did he do?
I'm sorry, who did what? What did who do?
As ICE was dealing with the one, what happened after that?
Well, he tried to intervene.
Right there. Shut the fuck up. You're done. You lost. You're done.
What?
He committed a crime. You're done. Everything that you say from that point forward,
I'm sorry,
it's done. It's done.
Use a cuss word against me.
No, because you're failing to realize that you just made my argument for me. Look, because look.
Is that the level of class?
Okay, woman. Look. See, I'm trying to be patient with you, and I'm trying to be polite here.
Oh, really?
You don't realize that you just made.
Is the ISIS attitude.
So can you mute this chick for a second?
Patient, as if like.
Okay, because here's the problem.
Let's have a proper conversation. Go ahead, Myron.
Yeah, so she doesn't realize that her entire argument is done off of that. As soon as Alex Pretti walked up to that Border Patrol agent and put his hands on that Border Patrol agent as he was dealing with someone else, he forfeited all privilege, all right to, continue doing what he was doing, because at that point now he's officially interfering. Now here's the problem, right? She wants to sit there and say, oh, well, he should be able to do that with no consequence. No, you cannot put your hands on a federal agent as he's dealing with someone else and then think that nothing's going to happen. And as soon as he did, the agent pepper sprayed him, rightfully so. You cannot put your hands on a federal agent as they're there lawfully conducting some type of immigration enforcement operation. It does not matter what he was dealing with the woman for. That's not relevant. What we do know is that guy walked up to him and touched him first. At that point, it's done. You have no leg to stand on legally.
So your framing is wrong, Myron. I know it's a lot of videos that have been going around. However, the Alex Pretti did not walk up to the agents. The agents walked up to him because they didn't want to be videotaped in what they were doing. You just said yourself that they're making up a database of everyone who's videotaping them. So the last thing they want is to be watched right now. And the truth is, what I saw was a man videotaping him. Then the officer comes up to Pretti, and as he comes up. Let me finish what I'm saying. And as he walked up to Alex Pretti, then they both seem to have put their hands on each other at the same time. And there, at no point did the officer say, "Stop, you are under arrest." From that point, it went straight to throwing him on the ground, beating him up. Next thing you know, they disarm him and then shoot him. And your description of Alex Pretti's gun going off and then the officer firing is also not what I have seen. I heard that theory going around, but if you zoom in and you watch what actually happened, it seems like every shot that went off from the same gun, and it happened after Alex Pretti was disarmed. So your framing of the whole situation. No.
See, here's the thing, bro.
Let me finish what I'm saying. Your framing of the whole situation is wrong. And if the government actually wanted to get to the bottom of it, what they would have said was, hey, we're sorry Alex Pretti is dead. We're going to do an investigation. At this time, we feel like the agents acted properly. However, we are going to do an investigation to get to the bottom of it. And if it turns out the officers were wrong, we will hold them accountable. But that isn't what happened. All they did was jump in and instantly
let him respond, because you made about 3 or 4 points. Go ahead,
you're fucking lying, dude. Like, Suleiman, I'm going to give you the clip right now, and you can put it in the next.
I've actually seen the clip, Myron, and even though I have a different opinion to you on this, I agree with you in terms of the first bit. So if you look at the first bit of the video, and I think this is why it's really important to be honest, even if we're in disagreement. If you look at the video, what happens is it's Pretti who moves towards the ICE agent because the ICE agent is pushing that. So this claim that the ICE moved towards Pretti is false. After that, that's a different conversation. Obviously, I'll let you go on. But that specific bit where you're saying that ICE moved towards Pretti is dishonest. So
yeah, it's a lie. And that's why, see, here's the thing. If I'm going to go ahead and debate these people, we need to have actual argument based on the facts. And these guys are completely omitting an extremely critical fact. As I'm on stream right now, I'm literally having it play and replay. You can clearly see he pushes the and Alex Pretti puts himself in between the agent and the. That's when he gets pepper sprayed. So for all you guys saying, oh, the facts aren't right, blah, 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 none of you know what you're talking about. As soon as he put hands on the agent, it was done. Okay.
The only
There's
thing,
no
Myron,
legal
about
ground.
the hands on the only thing on the hands and the agent is that one is not fully clear, because we've seen it from a few angles. Joe holds the position that actually the agent did it first, so there's no angle from the front. I think we would know unequivocally if there was an actual angle from the front. Do you get what I'm trying to say? From there where
I mean, bro, you can see it. I'm literally replaying it on my stream. Like, you can see it clear as day. He pushes the. She falls to the floor, and then he immediately gets it between her and the guy, and between her and the agent, and then he gets pepper sprayed immediately after doing that. So, like,
I'm just gonna get the video up that you've got. Which video are you looking at?
Okay, I'm gonna give you a link right now. Give me 1 sec. I'm gonna literally give it to you so everyone here can look, because these people that I'm debating with are lying, and it's annoying because it's like we're not even debating the facts anymore. They're coming up with some make-believe set of facts and circumstances that just simply aren't true. And anyone that has two sets of eyes, you can see that literally the aggressor here was this guy Pretti coming up to the agent. You can't touch a federal agent and not expect to get, up to some degree. You can't do that. So give me 1 sec. I'm going to literally give you, it's a 5-second clip.
Take January 6th.
We're not talking about January 6th. Why are you moving the goalpost to January 6th? No one's talking about January 6th. Okay?
Because it's
that has nothing to do with this conversation.
What is your principle?
That has
What's
absolutely,
your principle
that has absolutely nothing to do with our discussion on Alex Pretti and immigration enforcement. That has nothing to do with it.
So I'm
just getting the video up.
I just gave it to you. If you could put it in the nest, so everyone that's watching this can see. You can see it clear as day. It's a 5-second clip. He pushes the wall, right? He pushes the wall, and then Alex Pretti gets in between him. It's clear as day. Like, I don't want to hear anything from these libtards. They don't know what they're talking about.
I'm just gonna put the tweet in the nest. 1 second. I'm doing it right now, and then I was gonna go through it with Myron as well. So let me just slow-mo this. So we see basically this guy. He's first of all, Alex Pretti is hugging the first woman, and the second one is pushing. So he moves away from the first one towards the second one. The officer at 1 second now, and it's pushing the. Alex Pretti definitely moves towards him. This is why it's really important to be honest.
Exactly.
Look, I disagree with with the overall like what I said, but like I'm always honest about what I said. I think that impacts credibility. So look, there you can see Alex is moving towards the agent. And then 1 second, I'm at 2 seconds. See, wait. So yeah, can you see at 1 second, Myron?
Yeah.
When it goes to 1 second, it looks like he's touching him. But if you look at the other angle, because the angle you can't fully tell, so it looks like in the left hand he's about to touch him. He doesn't end up touching him with his right hand. I think it might be one second. Right again. Right hand. Sorry. It looks like he's gonna touch him on his right hand. He does move his left hand in between. But I'm saying, like, it's not definite that you can tell that he pushed him, because if you look at the agent's left hand, he pushes as well. And so I'm saying I'm a bit agnostic about that one.
He doesn't have to push him. As soon as he put hands on him, it's over. It's done.
So I'm saying I'm not sure if Pretti actually put hands on him. And that's the bit. Are you trying to say even if the agent touches him first and then Pretti responds with his hands on him, that then is the issue? Is that what you're trying to say?
Sorry, are you looking at the same video I'm looking at? The 5-second clip? It literally,
yeah,
he gets in between the and the agent, and he puts his hand on the agent first. He closes the distance. Agent pushes her, and he gets right in the middle.
We're in agreement about him closing the distance. I totally agree with you on that one. That bit we're not in disagreement about. And then what happens is, if you look at it, I paused it at 1 second. I don't know if it might be like 1 point something. At that point, his right hand isn't touching the agent. It looks like it may have done because just from that angle, but it's actually not touching it. His left hand is now moving between the agent and the chick. And then what happens is his left hand is moving towards it. Then what happens is you can see, where's it gone? The guy's left hand now, you can see it touches. Can you see the guy's left hand is definitely touching the agent, but the agent's hand is already touching the agent's left hand.
Look. Let me be very blunt about this, because I'm the only person that actually worked in law enforcement and understands this on a very deep level. As soon as you get in between a federal agent dealing with another subject, you are impeding and you committed a crime, and that's what Alex Pretti did. And then everything that happens after that, it is what it is. To be there protesting is one thing, but then to put your hands on a federal agent as he's dealing with another subject while you're armed as a CCW holder is 50 IQ behavior. Absolutely. Okay.
So Myron, on that, just 3 points. So I agree with you that he moves towards the agent, and I agree with you that he impedes. Sorry,
he has no leg to stand on. He impeded the agent. It's over. Like, I know we can have an argument on morality or was it the right course or whatever, but from a legal perspective, as soon as he did that, he forfeited all leverage. Done.
Yeah, and I think I brought a lot of people up that day to debate you on the legal aspect, and all of them kind of end up agreeing with you. But I'm just saying about this specific thing, there's 3 aspects to it. The first one is, did he move towards the agent? Yes, he did. The video clearly shows that. Did he impede the agent, as in go in between the agent and the... Yes, he did. I'll be honest about that. The third point is, did he touch the agent? That one I'm agnostic about. That's the only thing I'm saying.
Okay. Well, I mean, you don't have to necessarily... I can see him touching the agent with his left hand, but that's or right hand. I forget which hand it is. Let me look at the thing again.
So really quick,
but that's not even required. Yeah. So he puts his hand, okay, at 2 seconds, you can see he has his left hand on the agent. His right hand has the phone, and his left hand is on the agent.
I know why you're saying that. I know why you're saying that, because it's the angle. But actually, the only way you would know if he's touching or whether it's very close to him but not touching is if you had the angle from the front, is what I'm saying.
Okay, either way, him putting his hand like that to try to get himself in between the agent and the is impeding, irrelevant of him touching. Him touching him is not necessarily required for him to impede the law enforcement officer. So it's kind of a moot point.
Yeah,
but
I agree. So on that one, I'm saying you debated many people on the space the other day, even people who vehemently disagreed with you, even Joe, who researched it so much, and they all capitulated to your point on that. And I was like, why are you capitulating? You guys acted like bad men for 2 days. So I'm not.
That's why, because like these people that are arguing me, Jay Scott and Dr. Madavi, like you guys don't even know that Alex got in between. So we can't even have a rational conversation because you guys think that the agent is the one that closed the distance when it was really Alex Pretti. And this is why, it's such a pain in the ass to debate progressives, because you guys live in your own little Looney Tune world where you guys aren't even going to look at visual evidence that he is the one that impeded. He impeded, so he forfeits all privilege, bro. He forfeits all leverage.
So you keep calling us progressive, and number one, I will admit I got that wrong, but Dr. Padavi did actually say from the start that she agreed that he did go up to the ICE agent, so she and her did not have the same position. But hold on, let me finish. Let me finish what I'm saying, Myron. Let me finish what I'm saying. No, because
now you're done.
No, because if you go and do a quick analysis of when officers and agents have the right to use lethal force, they have to be under the assumption that there is a lethal threat to their life. At no point did Alex Pretti present any form of lethal threat to the officer's life. So there was no reason for him to be executed. So I concede to you.
Let him respond
seriously?
to that. I think it's always good to go with one item at a time rather than like.
Okay. So first, you guys can see that Alex Pretti did initiate this and did impede. So honestly, I shouldn't even be talking to you guys anymore because you already lost the debate. But let's go ahead and go through this again. So he has a gun on him. Okay. Off of that alone. Okay. That justifies deadly force. Okay.
The officer didn't know that.
They yelled gun while they were dealing with him on the floor.
That was after they already assaulted him and had him on the ground. If he did something illegal, the first reaction should have been you are under arrest, not beating the guy up, assaulting him.
So pepper spraying him and grabbing him by the hand, doesn't that imply that they're trying to detain him at that point and he resisted? Like, come on, dude.
At some point, don't officers say you are under arrest? Stop, put your hands behind your back. They didn't do any of that. They didn't do any of that. And guess what? They have the body cam footage, but they won't release it because they know it will only embarrass the officer, and they probably need to put criminal charges against him. Are you looking at the video that I'm looking at? Are you looking at the video? I am looking at that video.
Okay, at exactly 4 seconds, what does the agent do? He grabs his left hand, and what does he do? He tries to put it behind his back to try to detain him as he's pepper spraying him with his right hand. Now, we don't know what verbal commands he gave at this point, but whether he gave the verbal command or not, when they grab your hand and try to put it behind your back, a common sense individual would be like, oh, they're trying to detain me.
You don't know what he was trying to do. There are holes that people put people in when they're trying to do that. They didn't put George Floyd in handcuffs when they had their knee on his neck, so you don't know what exactly they were trying to do to him. And unless the guy says, stop, you are under arrest, put your hands behind your back.
You know what they were trying to do?
He is not handling that situation properly.
I will. No, you're not law enforcement. So number one, you can't even make that call. Now I'll tell you what he was doing. He was trying to put him in what's called a POD, a position of disadvantage. Okay, whether you go all the way and put handcuffs on him or not, that's irrelevant. But you can see right away he pepper sprays him and tries to force him to the ground as he grabs his left arm, presumably to put his hand behind his back. That's when he starts to struggle. Okay, law enforcement is taught whenever you have someone like this, that's a male that can pose a physical threat to you. Right? Remember, he's dealing with two. And then notice how he immediately zeroes in on Alex Pretti after. This is common law enforcement training. You must deal with the biggest threat first. An able-bodied male is obviously going to be a bigger threat than two. This is why the agent puts all his attention on Pretti as he pepper sprays him and tries to bring him down to the ground, which is called the position of disadvantage, okay? Now, we could go ahead and argue about verbal commands, all the other shit, which I guarantee you there are probably verbal commands given here because law enforcement is literally trained as they pepper spray you or use some type of force to give you commands as they do it. But let's assume that he's not even giving commands. It doesn't matter because they're grabbing him and trying to bring him to the ground and he resists, okay? Then as he resists, right, that's when other agents come in. someone says gun, all right? But unbeknownst to the law enforcement officials, because there's like 7 of them there, someone disarms him and moves the gun away. The gun goes off. The other people that were dealing with the suspect, right?
But we don't know. You don't know that's what happened. When you said the gun went off, you're making an assumption there, and an investigation would actually reveal whether there was 2 different guns that went off or if it was the same gun.
This
because
has been confirmed.
The analysis I've seen said all the shots came from one gun.
It was confirmed that the 6 Sauer went off. There was an accidental discharge. The gun that he has is notorious for misfiring and having ADs. The gun went off, and that is what prompted the agents to shoot. Also, another important fact that you guys, are conveniently omitting here is that as Alex Pretti was on the floor, struggling with the agents, he was moving his right hand in a way where they didn't know what he was doing. And the agent that shot him from his left. So if you see someone reaching on their right-hand side, right, whether they have a gun or not, that doesn't matter. Someone could presume after being told gun, 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 and hearing a gunshot, that this might be the firearm that they're talking about, and that's why they shot him. Okay. Now, we find out later that he was reaching for a magazine or something else, but you don't have to be perfect when it comes to use of force. Was it reasonable for the agent to shoot given all the facts and circumstances? Let's go through this. He grabs an unruly subject. Subject doesn't want to comply. He struggles with him. As they get him down to the floor, one of your colleagues...
But there was no orders to comply with. There was no orders to comply with, Myron.
Dude, shut up, dude. Like, you're just, like, at this point, like, he's literally grabbing him by the arm and pepper spraying him. Like, come on, dude, let's use some common sense here. Why is he pepper spraying him and trying to get him to the ground?
Sounds like an assault to me.
Okay. Anyway, now you're just being difficult for no reason. So anyway, as he's down on the floor and he's struggling, the agent can't see what's going on the right-hand side because he's on his left side. He just heard the command he just heard someone yell gun. They disarmed him. Unbeknownst to him, a shot goes off. They presume, oh, was that the gun from this individual? We need to shoot him. And that's what happened, dude. And look, it's all based on objectable reasonableness and perception. At the time, when he shot the shots, it was a reasonable thing to do at that time because they did not know that he was disarmed.
Well, listen, what I will...
Jay, 1 second. We're just going... I am going to be wrapping up the space soon. So, Beatrix, did you have a question? And if not, and then I want to bring it back to Iran and then wrap up soon. Go ahead, Beatrix.
Yeah, I just have a few points. Myron, I think this is a really interesting discussion, Myron. So I think there's a bit of confusion around this, and I'll tell you why. Because whatever perspective you take on the video, because there's quite a few videos that have been released from different angles, and I've seen official accounts, government accounts saying, and I'm quoting verbatim, tweets saying, if you approach law enforcement with a gun, there is a high likelihood they will be legally justified in shooting you. Don't do it. And these comments from official government accounts and community noted saying the US Constitution, and then it says and it says in brackets, particularly the 2nd, 4th, and 14th Amendments prohibit officers from shooting citizens merely for possessing a weapon that is not an imminent threat. This was reaffirmed in Graham versus Connor, which says force must be reasonable. So they're actually saying it had to be an imminent threat. Now, personally, I didn't see an imminent threat there. But let's just say...
That's because you're speaking from a 2020 hindsight perspective. It's easy for you to say that you don't see an imminent threat when you're looking at multiple camera angles and you have the privilege of seeing things. I understand.
Let's just say...
What matters is this. If you resist law enforcement while armed, they're going to assume that is an imminent threat. Done.
No. But let's just say there's a difference of opinion there, okay?
Your opinion is irrelevant because what matters is the perception of the person that shoots.
Let me just continue. Let's just say you're right, hypothetically, Myron.
It doesn't matter what your opinion is. Like, it does not matter.
But Myron, it's not my opinion. I'm just giving you the community note. I've got a broader point here. Oh, God. Let's just say hypothetically there's a difference of opinion. Let's say they thought it was an imminent threat or whatever it was. Okay, that's just for me. That's a side point. Okay, let's just say hypothetically. Right, it was an imminent threat. Okay, I think the issue here is that there's quite a few mixed messages, and I'll tell you what it is. Firstly, for whatever reason, the footage from the cameras of the ICE agents hasn't been released. Okay, so I think that doesn't help. There's a legal aspect spread out. So differences aside, okay, I think that are genuinely some other people, unnamed people, maybe protesting ICE tactics, because US citizens have been arrested by ICE, and this is documented, and they're US citizens. And I think the
That's
procedure
irrelevant.
needs clarifying.
Completely irrelevant.
I think the aftermath, and there's just a few issues. I think the way that the aftermath is from the leadership, and I mentioned this the other day in terms of the language, the rhetoric used. I mean, they could have said, look, ICE agents felt threatened by Alex was best in the circumstance. Sorry for the family, blah, blah, blah. We're going to have a full investigation. But what we get as the first sentence is he was a domestic terrorist, which just inflames things, because some people may be agitators, but people are genuinely concerned that US citizens are being arrested. And then on top of that, mixed messages from
None
Trump.
of this matters, dude. Yo, look. Like, you're looking at all of these, because you're making a bunch of points that have nothing to do with the facts and circumstances.
But let me just finish,
I don't care what Christy Noem said. I don't care what people said about him being a domestic terrorist. All of that is completely irrelevant.
Let me just, look,
why do you guys keep bringing up things that are completely irrelevant to the shooting? We were talking about the lawfulness of the shooting. We don't care about 2020 hindsight, man. Like, we do not care about 2020 hindsight. You guys keep bringing up what was said after the fact, what Christy Noem said, what Trump said. Nobody gives a fuck. None of that matters. What matters is this. What did the Border Patrol agent know at the time he pulled the trigger? That's the only thing that matters in this case. Okay?
Myron, can I just finish? Let me
this has been extremely painful and ridiculous, because I got a bunch of foreigners that don't understand the Second Amendment trying to tell me about use of force in the United States from a law enforcement perspective. I don't want to sound like an asshole or appeal to authority, but quite frankly, all of you are speaking from an extremely limited purview, and none of you know what the fuck you're talking about. So this has been extremely painful for me to sit here and explain this to you guys like children, and you guys still don't understand this, because this is a concept that none of you can grasp.
Listen to me. I've listened to you. I've got a few more points to make. So
there's no points that you're making. You're not making any points at all.
No, but let me just...
My chat is losing their minds. They're listening to you guys speak, and they're like, why the fuck are these talking? And
Myron,
I agree with
I'm happy to listen to your response, but let me finish. So
you're not making any points.
From Trump. This is about illegal.
ICE can arrest US citizens. ICE can enforce immigration. ICE was lawfully there. These individuals impeded them. Done. End of story.
Myron, let me just
There's no
finish, please. Right. So last week, Trump said illegal immigrants, right? Some of them can.
Yo, I'm going to give you 20 seconds to say what you got to say. I'm going to give you 20 seconds.
I am going to say in 10 seconds. Last week, this message from Trump. So the whole thing here is about, this is what you said, people vote right for this legal immigration. Last week, Trump gave mixed messages and said, actually, you know what? Those that are working, even if they're illegal, okay?
I got to refresh my page. She's cutting out. Oh my God, dude. Oh my God, bro. Oh my God, dude. Holy shit, people are like, this is extremely stressful. I don't know why Twitter's acting. Let me close this tab. Yo, chat. Oh my God, dude. Holy like, this is incredible how people are. Incredible. There is nothing worse than having triple digit IQ and talking to people that have single digit IQ, bro. Incredible.
Ready. If there is an attack on Iran, we will start the space immediately. Myron, we are wrapping up. Is there anything you want to say the last 5 seconds?
Look, man, it's amazing to me how everyone is talking about January 6th, talking about Trump's statements after, Christy Noem's statements after, and none of that matters, dude. And the fact that people keep moving the goalposts and aren't talking about the lawfulness of the shoot versus all these other factors that have absolutely nothing to do with the shoot just goes to show that, quite frankly, a lot of you guys are in your emotions and can't process raw information and look at things objectively. And it's actually been extremely painful and shows me how a lot of progressives are. No offense, but some of you guys are. This is incredible.
Right, guys, we are going to be wrapping up the space. Appreciate you coming on, Myron. Appreciate every single person who came on the space. Ryan Dawson, Sam.
Incredible. Incredible how people are. That is painful, dude. Like, I show the evidence that the guy closed the gap. Like, how many more times do I have to show that video, right? And they're still sitting here arguing with me. And I'm just like, what? Oh, holy shit. Let me fix my audio. Give me 1 sec, guys. Dude, incredible. Give me 1 sec. All right, there we go. I think that should be leveled right there. Audio should be a lot better. Sorry about that, guys. Okay, we're good here. Yeah, dude, holy shit, chat. Like, that was painful, man. That was, I hate people, dude. Holy man. That's why, dude, like a lot of these progressives are man. Like they're so every single person I've debated on this topic gets smoked because they can't stick to the facts. They just cannot stick to the facts, bro. So dumb. So dumb. And it's always Brits. It's always these foreigner Brits, these pro-Palestine. Like, holy fuck, dude.